All right, so welcome everyone to our third Composr weekly chat here. We've got Chris and Bob Myers. Welcome, and we'll go ahead and get started. In our agenda, Chris, the first thing we had to talk about was the multi-content block. Of course, Soccer Dad from last week was the one asking about that. He's not here yet.
Yeah, so I think with that, it's probably best if he doesn't turn up just to put it back until he does turn up. So do it another week.
All right.
There's a few tracker issues we can work on, some coding. I went through, I think after last week I went through and flagged about 60 issues that were suitable for doing on the live chats. I'm going to bring up the tracker, and actually I think it's more like 200 issues I flagged. And if you guys want to tell me what would be the coolest feature to implement, I will just implement it. So I'm going to bring that up and I'm going to share my screen.
All right.
So I've got it all, in fact, on. I'll bring my screen up now because some people might want to learn how the tracker works. So here is the tracker, and I've got it set to all projects. I want to search for the tag, anything with the tag of can implement during live chats, and search. And here we go, 121 things we can potentially implement in our live chats. I guess I'm going to scroll through slowly, and if anything jumps out as cool, let me know. Or if I see something, I might say so. Getting points on your birthday. Actually, Jacob, you don't like points, so let's not do that one. I thought that was a cool idea, though, that when it's your birthday, you get some points just for it being your birthday. It's a good way to draw users back into the site too. Oh, how about a top language block? No, it's probably a bit esoteric. Not many people using multi-language sites.
Spoiler add-on, what would that entail?
Yeah, it's a good question. I can't remember. Integrate this. Okay. That's kind of cool, isn't it? So it's a JavaScript, maybe it's a jQuery plugin, and it just kind of blurs stuff. And when you click on it, it de-blurs it. So we do have a hide Comcode tag in Composr already, which functionally does the same thing.
Okay.
It's for hiding stuff unless you want to view it. But that's under an expander. This is a bit more fun, I think. Do you want to do this? Add a new Comcode tag, probably a custom Comcode tag that implements this fading effect.
Sure.
I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I don't know anything about this code, so I'm going to be learning here. Okay. So it's on GitHub. The code's on GitHub, and it'll be in this JavaScript file. It's not even that much code actually. So it's calling apply blur. Finding apply blur, and it's putting a blur filter on. It's fairly straightforward. So CSS has a blur filter, and this just applies the blur filter. Although that does make me think, I wonder how good quality this is. If I refresh this, that seems to work alright. I was wondering if there's like a lag when it's not blurred yet.
Yeah.
They're using a spoiler tag for it. So they made a custom HTML tag called spoiler. And I think then they're probably selecting all the spoiler tags using JavaScript and then applying that style. So, as I say, I've never even looked at this code, so I'm learning here. Yeah, I'm still not sure how it works. Oh, it uses SVG to blur it, apparently. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is a CSS selector. It's selecting spoiler tags, and then it's selecting anything with a CSS class of spoiler. That's what the dot is. It means CSS class. So this is a CSS selector. Okay. It's calling the spoiler alert function. Yeah, we define this function. It's using JavaScript to... Oh, hi there. Right, so just to recap, we're implementing a spoiler tag into Composr, which is a third-party JavaScript plugin. And what it does is it blurs some text. And I'm just currently trying to work out how the code works. So it selects everything according to the selector. For every element it selects from the selector, it calls process element. And where's process elements here? Sets a custom bit of data on it that's equal to the value shrouded. It puts a transition so it blurs out. It actually does blur it out, sets a filter, and it adds some mouse handlers which will unblur it if you put your mouse over or if you click it. Okay, well, now I have a vague idea how it works. I can implement it into an O. Whoops, wrong button. Okay, so I'm going to take the code and I'm going to save it into Composr. So I'm going to create a new JavaScript template. Yep, so I'll just save it into there. We're going to do this as a custom comcode tag. Okay, so to my test site, admin zone. I've got some kind of issue here. Let me try refreshing that. I just had to reinstall everything on my machine in the last couple of days, so I might have a bug in my setup somehow. I wonder if I got some kind of parallelism issue in my web server. So I had a bit of an issue with my Mac in that my hard disk died and I had to reinstall my entire web server. And it looks like it's actually failing to load all the files in parallel. It loads when I ask it to. It says it's aborted. I guess this is a little tutorial on how to debug completely unexpected problems.
Debug a web server.
Yeah. I did not expect this. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, my MySQL is crashing on my Mac. So it's not even a configuration issue. It's something about the MySQL setup that has an actual bug in it. Okay, so I was in the process of trying to set up a custom concode tag. Okay, so we're going to create a tag called spoiler. Nope, did it for me. We don't need any parameters, and the replacement text will basically be based on the example for that spoiler tag. So it wants us to call this JavaScript code to hide stuff that matches this CSS selector. So it's going to go inside the script tag. This is going to be slightly tricky because we're going to have to assign a randomized ID. The problem being we're defining what is going to be spelled via use of our comcode tag rather than use of predefined HTML. I could do it another way actually. I could make the comcode tag output a spoiler HTML tag. No, I like this way. No, I don't. I don't want to call spoiler alert multiple times, so I'm actually going to do it with a spoiler tag. Okay, so this should basically work, but the only problem is this is going to get called multiple times. If we had multiple comcode spoiler tags in the page, this spoiler alert function would be called every time. So we're going to have to do a little hack to stop that. So I'm going to say window.spoilers is true, and then I'm going to guard this whole thing. If not, window.spoilers. Okay, so that's going to mean the first time it runs, it sets this, and then the second time it runs, it won't actually run it because it's already set it. Okay, and it's not a block tag, it's not dangerous, and it is textual because we're using it inside text. And I think the only other thing I need to do is I need to require the JavaScript library. But what I called it actually. It's spoiler.js. Okay, let's see if this works. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to open a new tab with a news article just as a little frame to test this in. And let's see if it previews. And it works. That wasn't too hard, actually. I guess that's that done.
All right.
Well, it was meant to take me an hour and a half, and it took me like 15 minutes, including debugging a web server. So that's not too bad. Okay. Well, I guess I can just mark this resolved, unless. No, maybe someday we'll put it into a proper add-on. So I'm actually going to take a screenshot of my custom Comcode tag, and I'm going to put it into that issue, so in the future we can pick up on it. Okay. And I'll take off the tag. And I'll monitor it. Okay, what's next? Again, just let me know if any of these jump out as cool things to do, and we'll do them. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions, just fire away, anything at all. Because the main point of this chat is for me to answer people's questions, and I'm just implementing stuff if no one has any questions. So feel free to interrupt me at any time.
This is Bob.
Yep.
I have one.
Go on.
I was attempting to do a insert a comma in thousands block inside a template file. And every time I tried to use an regex functionality, there was a gripe about the fact that a 0, which was needed to do that, was inside curly brackets. So my question is there a Tempcode that does insert the commas?
Right. I think I would need to actually see that. Are you able to kind of paste it into the chat or something like that, so I can actually see the code?
I don't have it on this machine right now, so I will send it to you via email later.
Yeah, if you want to just send me an email now.
I resolved my problem by finding some code, as Google is our friend, that did not do that, and so I got the problem solved. But I was thinking, I looked again today, and I found one about inserting it money, which is essentially what I was doing, but I didn't know whether that one worked or not.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like when you say money, I think you mean the dollar symbol.
Yes.
In a regular expression.
Is that all that was?
In a regular expression. Yeah. So in a regular expression, the dollar symbol has a special meaning. It means end of string. So if you put in a dollar symbol for it would try and match that to the end of the string. I'll turn my screen on and try and show that by example. Okay, so if we had a regular expression like, well, let's just say $100, and this dollar symbol means end of string. So this is actually literally never going to meet. It's never going to match anything, because it's impossible to have a string where you're matching the end and then you're matching stuff after the end. So obviously it's not possible. And the way we'd resolve that is we'd put a slash in front, which is escaping the dollars, and that just means it's a literal dollar sign. For a comma, usually a comma doesn't have any special meaning. However, I know it would if you had it in square brackets, the comma would, like that. It means like range. No, sorry, that's wrong. In curly brackets, it means range. So it's like have X. Then in curly brackets, I have 1, 5. That means going to match anything between 1 and 5 X's. So it might be this syntax is being interpreted somehow. But the way to fix it would be just to put slashes in front of things.
I tried to do that with that particular. The code was an open curly bracket, a 0, closing curly bracket, and that's what it kept coming back and say, well, what's the variable you're trying to substitute there? And so I escaped it, and it still didn't solve it. But I will send it to you, and that way you can see what I was up against.
Oh, I think I know what the problem is now. Okay, I'm just sharing my screen again. You had this, which you wanted to match, and you escaped it like this, and it didn't work.
And I even
And
escaped the 0 and the following one too.
Yeah.
I had it all escaped, and it still didn't work.
Yeah, so this is actually a slightly tricky problem because you're coming across Tempcode's own escaping syntax because these curly brackets mean something in Tempcode as well as regular expressions.
Mm-hmm.
So Tempcode has its own escaping for them. Maybe if you double escape them.
I did not try that.
No, it wouldn't work actually. It's a tricky one. I can tell you how I'd do it, but it wouldn't be pretty. So I'm going to think if I can do it. I'm going to think if I can do it a better way. So the way I'd do it is I'd set a Tempcode variable called open bracket like that, and I'd set one called close bracket like this.
Oh, okay.
And then I'd do that, and that, and then that. So we've bypassed. We've got it into a Tempcode variable, open bracket, and also close bracket. And we've done the escaping for Tempcode at that point. And then we've got the escaping for the regular expressions here when we've got the slash before it. So we've separated out the escaping into 2 steps because we don't actually support double slash escaping in Tempcode. And there's a technical reason for that. So this is the only way I can think to do it right now. I'm sure there would be some other way. In fact, I know there is, because in regular expressions, you can have literal ASCII characters. Let me just do this quickly.
I did not try that either.
Yeah. Okay. Find the character specified by hexadecimal number DD. So if I look up ASCII chart, ASCIItable.com, that'll do. And I find the ASCII code in hex for the brackets. That is 7B and 7D. So 7B and 7D, and then a 0 in between. I think that would work. I think that's the cleaner way to do it, because you're bypassing Tempcode's use of braces by just not using them. You're using the regular expression syntax for inserting the literal characters of the braces by hex code. I'll paste that into the chat. You can try that.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Okay, I'm going to go back to the list of tracker issues. Okay, this is a cool one. So this gives me a little bit of an opportunity to show off. My screen's still visible, isn't it? I think it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this gives me a little opportunity to show off Commandr. Okay, so let's open up Commandr. Okay, so have you both used Commandr before?
I have a little bit.
And okay, Jacob,
Yeah, I don't use it often.
Okay, it's really cool. It's like having a little Unix command prompt in the site, and you can manipulate the site configuration and data using it. And you can also run SQL commands. So if I wanted to find all the site configuration, I could. This means SQL, the @ symbol. Then select star from CMS 10 config. CMS 10 underscore is just the table prefix I have on my test site. It's usually just CMS underscore. And that just selects everything from that table. Or I can do where cname like test, and then it finds anything with test in the name. That's just SQL, but it's really handy to be able to execute it just from a command prompt in the site rather than having to pull up PHP on my admin. So this tracker issue is for implementing support for running shell commands via Commandr. So I just did a SQL command, and we've got the inbuilt commands, but we can't do shell commands unless we actually. Oh, we can also do PHP. So we can do. I can do something like print hello. That's PHP. PHP has to start with a colon in here. So colon, then whatever the PHP code happens to be. So I could say colon echo 123 plus 321. But I want to be able to do Linux commands, or in this case Mac commands, because I'm using a Mac, directly from Commandr without having to do it like this. So currently you have to do this. I want to be able to just do something like this, which won't work right now. So I'm going to do something very technical. I'm going to get into the Commandr code, and I'm going to try and implement that. Okay, so sausage/commandr.php is where the code is, and somewhere down here. Okay, so we've got these defined constants. We've got command native, which is just a native composer, native Commandr command. Command-own, I don't honestly remember what that is. Command script, I don't remember what that is, but we've got command PHP and command SQL. So we're going to add another one, which is going to be command. What terminology did I use here? Shell. Okay, command shell. So I've created a view constant with the value 5, which is just the next one available. And the easiest way for me to edit this to add support is just to look for everything where command SQL runs, and add support for command shell, if I can spell.
I was just going to say, I thought you were going to spell that wrong.
Okay. I'm just going to quickly search the code for this. Okay, ignore anything under exports, because that's just test backups. Okay, so it's in the file we're in, and I don't think it's anywhere else actually. It's not, so that's good. So we're only going to have to edit one file. So let's look for command SQL. Okay, so it's recognizing command SQL because it's finding an @ symbol. I'm not sure exactly how this code works. It's looking at current input, which must be the actual line of the command. And it seems to have a past position variable too, which must be 0 at this point. So let's just add in underneath else if something equals did I say the pounds symbol? I can't remember. Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's going to be that, and I'm just copying and pasting because it's going to be almost the same as the shell command. Okay, so setting the command to be equal to everything after the first character. So this is 0, remember. So everything from 1 onwards is going into this past input command variable. Okay, so here we have the actual handling of the code, I believe. So in the case of command SQL, it's actually running a query on the command. And there's some complex stuff which we don't need to care about really. Okay, so else if, yeah, I've actually, as I said, I completely reinstalled my Mac in the last couple of days, and I've still got pairing of brackets open, enabled on the settings, which I really hate actually. I'm going to change that if I can work out where it is in here. Oh, I'll put it with it for now. I just really don't like it when it auto closes brackets for me because I'm so used to doing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there, and I'm just going to copy and paste all the code. Okay, we're going to be doing something with this. Okay, so it seems that command output is an array because it's being treated as an array, a list here. So I'm going to create an empty list. Then I'm actually going to put the first value in the list. I'm going to put shell exec and then the actual command. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's actually, this is just a temporary thing, so I cannot do that. I'm going to take this, and it's going into std HTML eventually. So I can just put it in here. Because it's HTML, I have to. Actually, no, it doesn't have to go in there. It can go in std out, just literally directly into it, and that should work. Actually, I think that's done. So let's try it. Yeah, it's straightforward. That was easy.
Yep.
So we made Ockle, not Ockle, that's the old name, Commandr crawler. So I guess that's pretty much done. I need to update the tutorial for it, but otherwise it's done. So I'll monitor that and I'll sort it out later. Okay, next. Okay, I'm going to do a mini tutorial now.
All right.
It's quite a common request is how to turn the what it says here is the forum bar, the forum top and the forum bottom bar on and off. Because actually in OC Portal before Composr we had it on by default, and I think we turned it off and people miss it. So if I go to the forums, I don't think I'm going to have it now. I don't have a big bar here telling me about my user, but I can put it on really easily because it's just a block. So this area here, it's not actually got anything in, but it's panel top. Right now the panel top is blank in the forum zone. So if I create a empty page in this directory called panel top, I could do this inside the Composr page editor too, but I just like to do it inside my text editor. And then if I just say block, trying to remember what this was actually, probably top something. That's not, it's main top bar, is it? No, we got main bottom bar, and then we got main member bar. That's it, main member bar. And if I refresh, that should do it. Except it won't, because I think I've got a redirect blocking the top panel. So let's test that. Because by default, I think all the top panels are bound together in Composr. I think we come with some default redirects nowadays. Okay, so let's just get rid of this. And whilst we're doing it, we'll get rid of the panel bottom too. So this means the forum zone is going to get its own panel top and panel bottom again, which is the kind of natural state of things. And refresh. And here we go, we have a nice top bar back, member bar back. And if we want the bottom one, bottom bar, wasn't it? And there we go. So if you really like your forum and you've got a lot of people just hanging out on the forum, it's quite nice to have this top and bottom bar. But if you think of your website more as a kind of a social network where people are going right across the website and hanging out in any random page, you probably don't want these big bars at the top and the bottom. So it really depends how people interact with your website. So that's that one. Okay, this is a good one to talk about because this is about some text on the calendar module that is really confusing, but I don't know what to change it to make it simpler. So maybe some people are going to have some ideas about this. Actually, Patrick added this issue, not me. So let's have a look. So we're adding an event. It's all pretty straightforward, except under recurrence. Oh, okay. So we need to add the event first, and we need to give it some kind of recurrence, so daily occurrence. And view it. And let's go back to the calendar. Let's go to the monthly view. You can see we've got this event happening every day. So let's edit one of them. We're going to edit, I think this is like the third event or something. Okay. Okay, so when we edit, we've got this weird option here. We can edit, we can delete, or we can edit while fixing past recurrences, which completely confuses people. And what this means is it means any occurrence that is before today, so today being the 2nd of December, it will will separate those out from the events, and it will leave those exactly as they were. That any future occurrences will be edited.
That's the edit.
That probably wasn't a great example. But
edit while fixing.
Edit would fix. Yeah.
Leaves the ones behind it
actually
the way that they were.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the opposite.
A bad example.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what I would have thought from that wording.
Okay, so I've fixed my events where it actually does exist in the past now. Okay, so that's random errors today. Don't know why the style sheet's gone missing there. Okay, can anyone think of any better wording for this then?
Edit only future occurrences?
Yeah.
I think that might be a better way.
Yeah. Let's see what Patrick said here. So, I personally feel that the option edit while fixing past recurrences when editing a calendar event should be reworded as it is misleading. The text above to me makes me feel like this is the option I should select to edit the current event and all recurrences of this event from the past. Yeah, it's hanging on the word fixed. So when I set this text, I meant fixed as in fix this as it is. But I think many people read it as fix as in change, amend.
Right.
In reality, the edit option is what does this, and it does it for all recurrences, both past and future. Instead, this option only edits the current event and future recurrences, while breaking off the past ones into a separately created item. Perhaps a better option set would be the following: edit all recurrences, replaces edit this and future recurrences only, replaces edit while fixing past recurrences, and delete. What was it you said, Jacob?
Yeah, I said future recurrences only. I think that the edit this and future recurrences only describes it very well, what they've got in that tracker issue.
I agree, yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Well, let's do it. It's going to take me a minute here. Most of the time in this is just talking about it. It's literally going to be a really quick text change. Okay, so we're looking in calendar.ini, which is the language file for the calendar. For some reason, my editor thinks this is an active 4D file, and it's not. Okay, so this is going to be this. And the only complexity is that we're going to have to create a new language string. Okay, so we're reusing the edit language string here. So I guess I'll leave this. I'll change this to leave past. But edit all recurrences. Define the string, and I'm just going to see wherever this current string is used in the code. So it's got a description, so we need to worry about that. Okay. We keep a list of all the language strings in here, so I'm just going to add it to here too. Okay, we need to have a description version of it. Oh no, we don't. Okay, so this description for fixed past recurrences is actually attached to the whole set of them, so we don't actually need to add a new description. I'm confusing myself a bit here, just bear with me. Oh, okay. I'm editing the wrong file here. One. Yeah, the problem is I've got a ton of backups of the site under the exports directory, and because I haven't configured my editor to hide the backups yet, I actually opened up one of the backup files, so I need to exclude anything under exports. Yeah. No, still doing it. I'll sort that out later. Okay, so let's just check what this says. If the settings for an event that has happened in the past are changed, you may wish for the previous instances of the event to remain unchanged by fixing. Yeah, I need to get rid of the word fix. By editing only future occurrences, you may achieve this. Okay, the other problem here is we seem to be using the word occurrence and recurrence as synonyms, which is a bit confusing. Yeah, that's actually a little bug, that. Recurrence.
Chris, I thought you and I had agreed that those were going to be called oops instead of books.
What's that, sorry?
I said I thought you and I decided that we were going to call those things oops rather than bugs.
Oh. Okay. I'm just going to quickly check that I'm not using the term occurrence in any tutorials. And I am. I wonder how many... Do you prefer the term recurrence or occurrence?
When we're talking about a series, recurrence makes more sense, I think.
Right. Okay. Right. Because I'm actually fixing bugs here, I can roll this into the next patch release rather than the next major versions. Okay, I think that's done. Refresh. It's just text changes, so it shouldn't crash or anything. And I think that's done. Edit all recurrences, default, edit this and future recurrences only. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is I want to make sure I never make the spelling mistake again. So I'm keeping an automated test that checks to see if there are any common misspellings in any tutorials. Okay, so common spelling errors. What this test does is it searches all the tutorials for anything that is misspelled, and then it tells you what the correct word should be. Okay, well, that is done.
Now, Chris, that does raise another question. Just out of curiosity, would it be possible to only edit a single occurrence of an event if you only wanted to change it for, say, 1 week? Rather than...
what you'd have to do...
Or in your case, 1 day.
You'd have to edit the event to end on the occurrence before, the recurrence before. Then you'd have to add another event just for that recurrence. Then you'd have to add another one for any future recurrences, which is a bit messy, but the calendar code is already insanely complicated, so I don't really want to make it any more. At least not for now. Maybe in the future. Yeah, the calendar code is one of the most complicated parts of Composr. Dealing with things like daylight saving time changes is really difficult. You probably never thought about this, but if something happens at midnight midnight on the date of the daylight saving time change when you're gaining an hour, that event would technically happen twice. You got to think about that kind of thing.
No, yeah, this year my Extra Life stream went through daylight saving time, so when I was trying to schedule it out with my calendar program that I use, it actually was bugging out when I was trying to schedule things at that time.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily a bug, actually.
Right, yeah.
Theoretically.
But it was getting confused as to what times things actually were around then.
Yeah, if I was in Commandr, I'd get rid of daylight saving time. Actually, I believe it's illegal for any European Union country to get rid of daylight savings time, because there's an EU rule that every country in the EU has to have daylight saving time at the same date.
Well, you guys could always move to Arizona.
Oh, you don't have it there?
We do not. Well, the Indian reservation up in the northeast corner of the state does, but the rest of the state does not.
Right. Well, I mean, that's another complexity, so I guess they're on their own time zone, technically.
Well, yeah, during daylight time we stay.
Yeah.
If you look on some of the places where you get to choose the time zone, they have one special for Arizona.
Yeah, it's nasty. There are some islands that are on a 15-minute time zone difference, and I suspect they've done it because they want to be on a different time zone from their neighbour, just for their pride. So they've said, we're going to be 15 minutes different. Okay.
As a side question to the calendar bit, my son runs a site with multiple composers on it in San Antonio, and he's having to do a rebuild. And he's putting calendar items in that have already happened, but he extends them. And he's getting this 5-minute time delay between when he puts one in that's very similar to the one that they had in there. Can you hint to me where to look for that time set?
Sorry, what's the delay about? Is it a delay in when it actually shows on the site?
No, it prevents him from adding a second one that's very similar.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I know of that. I've got to think about that for a sec. So that's the double submission check.
Yes.
Yeah, and it does it based on title. So I guess what it's doing is he's got 2 events with the same title, and he's adding them within 5 minutes.
I'll tell him to change that then.
Well, that would be a workaround, but it's a good point, because whilst if you're adding 2 news articles with the same title, that almost certainly is a double post. But 2 calendar events with the same title is perfectly legitimate. It might just be you've got an event happening on 2 different days and it has the same title.
Well, what's happening to him is that he's trying to add the second one, which is very similar, and he hasn't told me what the similarity is, but he's doing this as an admin.
Yeah.
And he gets caught with a 5-minute delay before he can actually do it. So
I would consider that a bug, because it's legitimate for different events to have the same title. It's not realistically going to happen for most content types, but the calendar it does. So I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to write that down actually.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. The DG.
It hasn't happened to me because I don't use the calendar very much. So
there is a possibility of making that optional. That's a tautology. Making that feature optional.
I was thinking maybe if you were admin that it might be, reduced to 10 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, maybe the solution is just have a button that says "I'm sure."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I don't think it's necessarily a permission thing. It's just to stop people accidentally submitting the same thing twice, which is quite easy to do if you've got a bad internet connection or something. And
or a bad mouse.
Crash. Yeah. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Allow filtering to a single forum grouping could be fun. So we're on the forum home, and let's say we only want to see the general grouping. We don't want to see the staff grouping. That's not a great example, because we're thinking about users here, and users aren't going to see the staff anyway. But let's just pretend that everyone can see staff and general by default. So we want to filter it only to show general. Or maybe we want to make a list of ones we do want to show. Is that interesting, or is that a bit too specific? What do we think?
I'm trying to understand what exactly it is.
Right, so imagine you've got a big forum and you've got lots of groupings like this.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be able to have a link that shows someone a view of the forum, but only with certain groupings being visible.
Only when they follow a specific link, though, not when they just go to the forum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Is that useful, or is that...
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure it is, actually. I think where this has come from is it's possible in other forum software to do that. You can click on general and it will give you a link. But I don't think anyone's ever asked for it. I'll tell you what, I'm going to kill this one. Oh, we've got one user monitoring it, but he monitors about 500, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Okay. Maybe we can do a little tutorial again. So what do we have here? Arranging custom content type fields. No, it's a bit boring. Contextual search. So yeah, that's the common one. So let's say we're on the forum, and we want this search box to only search the forum. And if we're on the downloads page, we want the search box to only search the downloads page. That's pretty common for people to want to do that. So contextual search. So I'm going to get rid of the top bar for now because it's just going to muddy the water here, like that. Okay, so let's look at the global HTML wrap template. Excuse me. So here's the search block. We have the block embedded into the template. And actually, it looks like we already have contextual search implemented for the forum. So if I do a search for test, it is just searching the forum. Let's see what parameters the top block takes. Here's a list of parameters. Okay, so I'm slightly concerned with the way this is implemented. So when I did a search on the forum, it went into the advanced forum search rather than the normal search with only the forum one checked. I'm not sure which would be better, actually. It probably depends on the site which they prefer. Because if it went in with just the forum checked, you could then edit the options and check other ones. Then again, you couldn't have these advanced forum search options to filter the search down. So I'm going to forget about that for now, and I'm just going to worry about implementing contextual search for other content types. The best way to do that is probably using the cases Tempcode directive. So we're going to have different cases of zone : page. So for example, forum view. Is it going to be equal to filling the block with just CNS posts as words from topic view. I'm going to change it slightly. I'm going to just change it to the page, just in case people are moving modules between pages. So the forum view and the topic view are going to show a search just with posts. Let's see what other search hooks we have here. Search PHP files. So these are all the search hooks we have. I've got some weird bug on my computer again. It won't let me scroll down. Weird. Okay, that'll do. I was hoping it was going to let me copy and paste that. Okay, I'm going to have to do this a different way. Okay, sources, hooks, systems, modules, search. Okay, these are all our search hooks. Okay, so we're going to match the block calling pattern that we did for the forum. But we don't know the module name yet. For some reason. Okay, so for the calendar, it's the calendar page. For catalog category search, it's tricky actually. I guess we don't want to search catalog categories, we only want to search catalog entries, so let's get rid of that. Any catalogs page is going to search for catalog entries. CNS club search, I don't think we care about that, so let's get rid of that. Member search, let's do it for the members module. CNS NPT, we don't care about that. CNS posts, we've already done that. CNS within topic, we don't want to do that probably. So if you're viewing a topic, then you're going to search the forum rather than just that topic. I think that's probably what people would want. Composr page search, we're not going to have that specifically. However, the default one will be, I'm going to limit to parameter. Download category search, we don't need that. We just want to search downloads when you're on the downloads page. File dump search, we don't care about. Galleries, we want to search when you're on the galleries page. No, we don't actually. We don't care about searching galleries. We care about searching images and videos when you're on the galleries page. So I'm limiting when you're on the galleries page to search to the images hook and the videos hook, and I have to escape the comma because otherwise it will get confused with this kind of comma. So it's a comma within this parameter. When you're on the news page, you want to search news. When you're on the polls page, you want to search polls. I think quizzes page is called quizzes, I think. Maybe not, maybe it's just quiz. Yeah, okay. Handled that one already. And if you will be one. And that's made me think, actually, when we're on the galleries page, we do want to actually search galleries as well as images and videos. And when we're on the downloads page, we do want to search download categories as well as downloads. And catalog categories too. Okay. I was slightly naughty. I saved this into the default template, which I shouldn't do. I've got to save it as an override. Okay. And I'm going to get that default one back to where it was. That's just using Git to revert the file. Okay, let's try it out. I hope MySQL hasn't crashed again. Let's try in a new tab. For anyone joining the stream at this point, it's unfortunately I just have a broken computer right now. It's nothing to do with Composr. It's just I've had to reinstall my computer in the last couple of days, and I've got some kind of conflict. Oh, that works. Okay. Right. So the default search on unknown module should just search everything, or all the defaults. Yeah. So that's searching the defaults. But if we go to the news module and do a search, it is hopefully just searching news, but I'm not sure that's true. It might not work. Yeah, okay, it's not quite working yet for some reason. So the page is news. Okay, let's put a little test in. Oh, okay, I seem to have left the old search block here. Refreshing that. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see the problem. Okay. Yeah. So it's not a bug in Composr, it's a bug in me. So I'm assigning the blocks to each of these settings, but it's going to be evaluated from inside out first. So this is going to get evaluated, and this is actually multi-line. So it's going to kind of interfere with the equals kind of layout. I could try and put it onto one line like that. I think that will put it onto one line. Well, it's better. Okay, I used the wrong escaper. So Tempcode has these escapers, and the hat symbol is one of them. But I think maybe that one's for putting JavaScript code on one line. So I'm just going to look it up. Yeah. So I think I wanted the tilde. No, I think it works. So if I look at the inspect code, the URL, type results.
Jason's just joined the call. We're working on contextual search right now.
Oh, hi, Jason. Yeah, do you want to explain what contextual search means, just to...
Right, so when we're in basically whatever section of the site we're in, that's the site we want to search if the user uses the top search block. So if we're in the forums, we want to only search the forums. If we're in the news, we want to only search the news posts by default.
Okay, I think it works, but I think there's an unforeseen issue. So I'm just checking where the forums are posting to. Right, so when I'm at the news page, it's having an ID parameter in the form of news, which is what we want. But what I didn't consider is when I've done a search and I'm at the search results page, this box now is a generic search, whilst ideally we want it to be continuing on the same search we were already on. Actually do that. So we have the ID parameter here. So we can probably do that with a super hack. So I'll just write this on another line just for now. This weird question mark symbol exists. If this is true, it outputs this, and if it's not true, it outputs this. So if it's true that we are both on the search page and so complicated. We're on the search page, and if we're on the search page and the ID parameter, get parameter, is non empty. Is that right? I'm just checking to make sure I've got the right number of closing braces here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then one for the. And I think I've got one too many actually. That's right. So if it's true that we're on the search page and we have an ID, then we're going to output a block with limit to set to be equal to ID parameter. Otherwise, we'll just output the regular block. And that's going to be the default case. Yeah, that works. So we're on the search page, but it has managed to refilter it to news. So there we go. That's an example of a contextual search. And the code might be a bit complicated, but now anyone can copy and paste it. And I'll include that on the update topic for this chat. Okay, anyone else have any more questions, or shall I dive into some more coding? It seems to have been a lot of me doing coding and tutorials this week, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay, no questions, so we're going to do a unit test. So as I was mentioning to Jason earlier, sorry, Jacob, I'm confusing you two again. Jacob, earlier, we're trying to add more automated testing to Composr. Specifically, third-party things have a tendency to break, and I want to know if they're broken. For example, we used Google to do geocoding of people's latitude and longitude to find out what city they are in, for example, or what the longitude and latitude of a city is. But if Google break their API, then suddenly that's going to break, and no one's going to tell us. So we want to know automatically if that breaks. So we're writing a lot of automated tests to try and detect this kind of thing. Okay, this might be fun. Unit testing for US English. So we're also just testing that fragile things within Composr haven't broken. And US English support would be a good example. I might not notice if that breaks, given that I'm British. So we're going to write a little test that turns on the US English option and puts out something that should look different in US English and checks that it actually still is different in the way we expect it to be different. So let's create a new test. So I'm using my development copy of Composr here, which has the whole testing framework installed. And I'm creating a unit test. Technically, it's not actually a unit test. It's an integration test, but we just call them unit tests in the code. And we're going to call it US English. I'm just going to find a simple one to use as a template to start us off. Okay, so the tests are generally split into files, and each file of tests can have multiple tests. So this is a file called US English, and it has a test called US English. There's just a standard kind of structure we lay out the test code in. It has to be the same in every file. We choose the file name and the test names, but the way we have to name and extend classes is the same. Okay, so first I'm going to set the US English to off. The US English happens to be in an option called yeehaw, which amused me. So yeehaw is going to be set to 0, meaning off. And let's find something in our language file that is British English. So censor, for example. Probably not the best example. Color. Here we go. So we've got a language string called color with the UK English spelling, and therefore when yeehaw is off, it should just output it as defined in the normal language string. Okay, so this is defining an assert check, which is something the testing platform we use does. It's a testing platform called Simple Test. We expect this condition to be true, and if it's not true, it's going to say the test fails. So we're calling dolang, which looks up a language string. It's a language string function on the language string called color, and we expect it to be color with the British English spelling with the U. And because it's in the global language file, we don't need to load up the language file because it's already loaded. And when we set yeehaw to 1, we expect when we call it that it will be like this. I suspect this test's going to fail due to caching, so we're going to see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to call up the testing framework and test code US English. Yeah, so failing on line 27, which is our second check. So this is what I expected. It's failing due to caching. Because it's a test, I don't mind writing some really hackerish code as long as it works. So I'm going to flush out the caches in the middle here. I'm going to have to debug this one later because I'm getting very boring here, I know. Anyone want to jump in with any questions just to end this week off with? No? Okay.
I didn't have anything this week. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah. Jacob, when you edit this chat, I guess just cut the last bit off because it was a bit dull. Okay.
All right.
I guess that's it. Yeah. So I guess I'll see somebody next week. Although I think was next week when we're going to do an earlier date. I can't remember. No, I think it was the week.
I think it was
the week after.
Later,
I think, wasn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So it'll be the same time next week. we'll probably be doing main multi-content block next week, because we were meant to be doing it this week, but the guy who requested it isn't actually here, so that's why we haven't done this one. It's been a little bit off the cuff this week due to that. So yeah, I hope to see you all next week again. Thanks everyone for coming along.
Thank you, Chris.